John here, Real Hard Reviews, CES 2020. We are still at the Gigabyte booth, and we are going to be looking at their new products with Matt here now.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how about you?
Good, good. So the first thing we got up today is our eGPU. So we've been doing this for a couple years now, but for this generation, we really wanted to push the performance. We have a lot of video editors, content creators, come home, plug in their laptop, and they want to render, right? Yep. So we've been grappling with this idea of how do we get the highest end graphics card, 2080 Ti, into an eGPU and cool it. Yep. If you don't want it to sound like a wind turbine, you have to water cool it. Yep. So that's what we developed here. We actually made a custom kind of AIO water cooler here with the full coverage water block. And this way you get all of the performance of a 2080 Ti without blowing out your eardrums. And so we find this specifically for like MacBook users. They like to be able to plug in their MacBook through Thunderbolt, charge their laptop while they have a keyboard, mouse, and monitor support, and of course all the power of a 2080 Ti built in.
Very nice. What port does it connect with?
It's just Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Perfect. So it can work with any other
Absolutely. I mean, right now we got it plugged into our laptop, nice. Obviously, so render video, whatever you need to do, or game.
What's the price point on something like this?
It's to be determined. Okay. It's going to depend on when we can actually get it to market, but you should see it by the end of February.
Oh, very soon.
Yes.
Awesome.
Moving on down the line, so kind of a theme this year is our Gigabyte products. Yep. A lot of the time we talk about Aorus products, and this year we wanted to kind of switch it up and bring products to more of the mainstream. Right, and so this is kind of the funniest pitch I have here.
A water block Gigabyte product? Yeah.
not only a water block Gigabyte product, but a mainstream water block product, right? Because we have all these high-end GPUs, and they have all these amazing water cooling, all these RGB. But the problem is that a lot of us still have our card like this.
Yes.
Right, and so if you spent a couple $100s for everything that you have down here, and your card is like this, what did you really do, right? Yeah. And a couple $100 is a couple $100 whether you're an enthusiast or not.
Very true.
So we figured, why not make a more mainstream or kind of slimmed down version? All the same performance, you still have the same full coverage water block, right? VRM and GPU. You just don't have all the shiny bells and whistles that you may or may not see, right? So if you're gonna mount your card like this, might as well save a few dollars and still get all of the performance.
They might be just going for silence. Yeah, so you don't need all the RGB and everything else.
Absolutely.
It looks very nice.
Or you may have a more subtle design where you want a little bit of light, but you don't need all the halo, So it's just a different offering for maybe a different audience, or maybe just a different way to think of something that we've had in the market for so long. So I really like this card, but it is the first Gigabyte water block card. They're all usually Aorus.
It's a 2080 Super, isn't it?
This is a 2080 Super, yes. Up here, we've seen most of these cards before, so I'll kind of focus on what's new for this year. So we have new designator memory. We've had RAM for a little while now, but again, kind of going with the use case scenario. This is 32 gigabyte sticks. So 2 sticks, you get 64. Obviously, 4 sticks, you get 128. And it's the first time we've done high capacity RAM, right? And it's kind of a sleek, subtle design. It's somewhere between silver and gray, but it's specifically for a designator line of boards.
It's very nice. Very low profile.
Yes.
And I'm going to knock over another one of these. Oh.
Low profile, but high capacity, still 3200, right? Yep. So it's for people like yourself that would fill up a board, and need the 32 gigabyte sticks. Yeah. Because we're in the unique position of making the board and the RAM, we can ensure compatibility, so it's plug and play, easy peasy, This you may have seen before, at least the form factor. So this is an add-in card, right? It looks very much like our Gen 4 add-in card. Yep. But what we did is we took the same form factor and we reimagined it. Yep. Right, and so this is for more of the Intel platform. This is actually a Gen 3 card. What we did to kind of boost the speed is we added a RAID controller. So it has a Marvell RAID controller inside. So this is essentially a RAID card, right? So you plug it into your system, you can boot your OS off of it, RAID 0, 1, whatever you want. We're probably going to populate it with 4 of our own 512 drives. Okay. So you'd get like a 2 terabyte stripe. But you can configure it however you want. And again, because of the synergy, we have software where you can go in the into Windows, click one button, it sets up the RAID, formats everything for you, you're good to go.
Does it have to be on a specific board, or does this work with a competitor's board?
It works with any board. It's just PCIe compliant, right? So we prefer to use our board,
of
but
course, I just got to ask.
What works for you works for us. And so any board, our software does work with our boards, but it's pretty trivial to go and set it up, if you're in this realm anyways.
That's a standard 3-year warranty on this,
yes.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, up here we have our smallest release for this year. So this is actually an NVMe and a USB enclosure. So this is a 20 gigabyte per second enclosure. So basically what you have is an NVMe drive going to a as media controller and out through USB.
Perfect.
And we'll also have
very small.
We'll have some add-in cards if your board doesn't necessarily support 20G yet. And we'll probably bundle them together. So right now we're going to offer it in 512 and 1 terabyte. You could theoretically open this up, put your own drive in there, or if there's enough demand for it, I mean, we can put any drive we want in here, right? So this is kind of our first foray into USB storage. So we're just kind of trying to test out what do people want. Do they just want light, slim, and fast? Or do they want, 2, 4, 6 terabytes? So it really just depends on the market. But I think it's kind of sleek.
It's
I like
a very
the fact
cool product.
You can drop it in your pocket and you don't have to worry about it. So pretty nice. And then up here we have some of the boards we've shown in the past. We just want to keep highlighting them. I mean, motherboards are still our bread and butter here at Gigabyte. So we have the TRX 40, which supports the new 3990 that AMD just announced. We have our Designaire board and our X299X Waterforce. This Designaire board's pretty cool. Two things that I appreciate the most are going to be the 2 Thunderbolt 3 connections. And then you have 2 LAN, but they're also both Intel LAN. Right? So we find that a lot of Linux users just prefer Intel. Some of them, in fact, will only use Intel. It's a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a reliability thing. So even though a lot of our boards have a Quantia and we've had no problems with those, there are a lot of content creators that specifically have asked for Intel. And so we figured, if we're going to put one, we might as well put 2, if that's the goal here. So you got the redundancy or the backup.
And they're 10 gig ports too.
And they're 10 gig ports. So as far as I know, it's the first board that has 2 10 gig Intel ports. So pretty excited about that.
Some of your competitors were proud to have 3.5 and you got 10. Nice.
Yeah, well, you're going to start seeing 2.5 from what I understand. 2.5 is going to be the new 1. And then here we have our AIO. So this comes in 240, 360, 280. And the value-added proposition here is that you have your LCD screen, and you can load whatever picture, whatever BMP file you want. So put your gamer name, you can put your favorite logo. I would
put your channel's intro.
There you go. Smiley face, whatever it is you want. It's all controlled through our RGB software over here. And so it just kind of integrates. It's one of the last pieces to having a full Aorus PC that we've really been waiting for.
Very nice. And a good OEM partner. That's nice to see.
It's all Asetek. So. And then this is just kind of our demo of everything kind of synced together and let you play around with RGB Fusion just to show the customers and the end users, what you can kind of do with it. Right now somebody set it to orange, so
it looks very nice.
The Aorus orange, And then last but not least, you're looking for pure speed. So this is actually our add-in card down here. So it looks very similar to the Gen 3 add-in card I was just showing you. This is our Gen 4 card. We have 4 2 terabyte drives in there. And when you RAID them together on this setup, before at Computex, we were only able to show you X570 throughput. We can finally show you TRX 40 throughput. And so we actually got about 4 gigs more.
Wow.
So as you can see, we're at about 19,000 and the write's about 15,000. So actually a little bit faster than we were able to show you at Computex. It's the exact same drive, no optimizations, anything of that nature, just the newer CPU.
You don't want to wait for anything, right?
When you're trying to transfer files rapidly, what I found with our content creators is that it's not one person sitting at one station working on one file. You're gonna, add some shading effects or whatever, right? And then you're gonna transfer it over to me and I'm gonna do my little magic, right? And it's just gonna get bounced around the office, right? And so that's why we're investing in the 10G LAN, the Thunderbolt, the Designaire, outside SSD controller and things like this, because every time somebody has to load it, transfer it, that's just sitting around, right? And so our graphics design team is really amazed because they used to render stuff and they press render and then they go for coffee, right? Or go for lunch. Or they'll put a little sign on their computer like, don't turn off, like rendering in progress, right? And now we're at the point where they can render, they can play games, they can load up whatever else they need to do, and they can have the computer work in the background and still use it, in the foreground. So, the faster we can make it, the more use cases people can come up with it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Have a great CES.